Arizona football sent a massive message to ASU, what this means for this team going forward, and a big raise for some possible coaches. All that and more on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. This is brought to you by PrizePicks. All right, now, Arizona football absolutely smashes ASU in a game that I think a lot of fans were happy to see. My only qualms with this is that I wish that Jedd Fisch had run up the score a little bit. But I guess that's the difference between Arizona and ASU is that we don't do that, even though I'm petty and I would like Arizona to do that. I'd like Arizona to do that more often if possible. But is what it is. All right. Now, against ASU, you saw a bunch of different things. First of all, you saw a talent disparity, a talent differential that is in 2 to 3 short years is absolutely astounding. I'll ask you all this. And again, I know that Elijah Badger missed the game and whatnot. How many players from ASU would start at Arizona? Certainly not the quarterback, not the running back, even though I like Cam Scattaboo, and that's a great name. Elijah Badger might be one of the 3 wide receivers, probably would. On the O-line, is there anyone? And then on the defensive line, is there anyone? On the linebacker, I mean, maybe there's 2 guys on defense. I don't know. But Arizona, if you're going 1 through 22, Arizona has probably 19 or 20 of those starters, right? And that's something that I think is pretty impressive for what Jedd Fisch has been able to do. And a big part of it, though, too, is just that this team across the board is just absolutely this team across the board is just loaded. There are really no weaknesses, and that certainly showed against ASU, and that kind of showed throughout the season as the season went on. I'll just ask you this. How many times did you watch an Arizona game and say, man, we got to be able to hide our linebacking unit, or we've got to be able, oh man, that corner out there, he's not going to be able to handle it. No, the biggest problem with the secondary is that Tacario Davis led the conference in pass deflections, but at the same time, if he had hands, he probably would have caught 10 interceptions. Talk about a good problem to have. But again, that's just kind of where this Arizona team is. There are really no weaknesses. And that certainly showed itself out against ASU. Now, a big part of that, though, is that we're going to go position by position and kind of grade everything out. And let's start at that quarterback position. Noah Fiitita. You saw against ASU and you saw it against multiple teams this year. Noah Fiitita is that dude. I don't care. Noah Fiitita is the dude that he can make every throw. It bothers me to no end when people say that he is a game manager. He's not a game manager. He is a difference maker. I thought from day one, and I put this out there during this 2 summers ago, that, when Noah Fiitita hits the field for the U of A, he's not coming off the field. And again, he has an ability to navigate the pocket, something that I think is incredibly rare for somebody his age, where he can climb the pocket, he can maneuver around, and he can just buy time a little bit like what Russell Wilson, when Russell Wilson was actually good. And then he's just deadly accurate. You complete 75% of your passes or close to it. That's just stuff that we don't generally see. That's just stuff you generally just don't see in college football, period, to be honest. And he's got obviously a great rapport with his wide receivers, Teteroa McMillan, who we're going to get to here in a minute, obviously. But Noah Fiitita, just an A++. He is he's just a difference maker. And when you go into the college football season next year, I think that he's going to be a dark horse Heisman candidate. I mean, that's just how good he is. That's exactly what he's been able to do on the field. Then, and again, The depth at the position going forward is good. Obviously, it's unproven, but Damon Williams, 4-star kid coming in out of Basha. We got Braden Dorman as well, 4-star kid, redshirted this year. You got a lot of talent. You got a lot of options at that QB spot, but make no mistake, this is Noah Fiitita's squad as long as Noah Fiitita is at the U of A. So again, adds an A++. Then at the wide receiver, Teteroa McMillan, I think people finally are understanding just how good this young man is. He is I think next year he's going to be the best wide receiver, hands down, in college football. He feels like a top 15 pick, a player that will only be here 3 years. What's really impressive to me about him is that everybody knew what he could do from a jump ball perspective, going up, climbing the ladder, getting the ball. But what he's also shown, though, is that he can his explosion right after the catch is really kind of top notch. And I think that's a real that's real kudos to Tyler Owens and what he's been able to do with T-Mac. He's put on a lot of really good weight. He's obviously, his explosion factor is off the charts. He's one of the 5 best wide receivers in college football right now. I don't care what anybody says. Right now, he's one of the top 5. I don't care if he's on the Biletnikoff Award list or whatnot. He is on that. He's in that group. Jacob Cowing, another great season. 2 years here at the U of A. Caught for, again, double-digit touchdowns this year. His yards per catch wasn't great, but that they utilized him in a little bit of a different way this year. I think he's going to be on an NFL roster for quite a while. I think he's probably going to be a 4th or a 5th round pick, but I also think he has the ability to be able to outperform that. Both those dudes, though, I mean, A+ for those 2 wide receivers. Montana Lamonius Craig. All right, now with Montana Lamonius Craig, I'm not ready to start the my bad MLC movement, but he definitely started to grow on me after a while. Not only did he start to grow on me after a while, he started to make some plays. He started to get touchdowns. He started to be a nice red zone target. All kinds of different stuff where he was just kind of, let's just say what it is, he was just kind of MIA throughout the majority of the season. But he finished the season on a strong note, so I'm optimistic for next year. He's obviously got another year as well. I'd love to be able to see him really take that in there. But again, good stuff. And then you got the 3-4 young wide receivers that I think next year are going to all be dynamite. Kevin Green, Malachi Riley, AJ Jones, my guy AJ Jones. Shout out Tony Jones. But those are the dudes. That's where it's kind of at. The wide receiver unit, obviously, that's an A+ as well. Notice the trend on a lot of A's going around. We like this. Now, tight end, Tanner McLaughlin, the other T-Mac, another A+. He was absolutely fantastic this year. He will play in the NFL. Great hands. Another guy that can make plays after the catch. Good blocker, can do a lot of things. Feels like probably about a 5th round pick. And if there was a better tight end in the conference than him, I would love to know who that is. He's another guy, A+, and you also got to give Jedd Fisch a ton of credit for being able to find him, for being able to find somebody like him, because again, you're at Southern Utah. You generally those aren't generally the bastions of finding great players, but Tanner McLaughlin was absolutely fantastic. A big A+ as well. Also, PrizePicks. Let's say you have an idea about somebody like Tanner McLaughlin. You're like, all right, I think he's a little bit better than maybe people know. PrizePicks, that's where you want to put this on. Go to use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit up to $100. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Check it out. Again, this is the spot. If you have an idea that somebody's going to put up some touchdowns, somebody's going to put up some catches, why not go to PrizePicks? PrizePicks is the place where you can assert your mental superiority. Check it out again. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. All right, now we are breaking down every unit. We are giving out grades. All right, now we've had 3 A+. Quarterback, wide receiver and tight end. Now to the running back position. It's going to be, guess what? Another A+. This was with Jonah Coleman, Michael Wiley, DJ Williams, Fam, Rayshon, Speedy Luke. This was a dynamic unit. Michael Wiley will absolutely play in the NFL. He very much has the feel of a kind of a New England Patriots type player, where catches passes out of the backfield. I mean, again, when the Patriots were good, catches passes out of the backfield, can get to get up the sideline, can make plays, all kinds of different things. He kind of has that Shane Vereen type feel to him, and that, and he's good. And it just goes to show you too how deep this line or this wide receiver, this running back unit is, that somebody like Michael Wiley kind of became the second back by the end of the season, obviously somewhat due to injury, but Jonah Coleman was an absolute monster. Coleman is going to be about as good a running back as there is in the conference next year. Flirting with 1,000 yards at like 7 yards per carry, 5'8", 230, an absolute bowling ball out there. And again, not a bowling ball in a very good way. He, again, though, just an absolute monster. Another player that Jedd Fisch hit the ball out of the park on their evals with Jonah Coleman, Michael Wiley. That was an awesome 1-2 punch. And DJ Williams. We can't forget DJ Williams either, because DJ Williams, in a game like against Oregon State, he was the one that kind of salted that game away, was that big bruising back. Then our guy, obviously, Fam. I think Fam's going to be a real breakout candidate next year. But that's another A+ unit. You can't really find much. And plus, they never fumble the ball, which is a big tip to Scotty Graham. But again, another A+. Now let's talk about the offensive line. All right, we're not going to just give out A+ across the board, although we could. I'm going to go B+ for the O line. There were a couple games that, especially early on this season, when it wasn't great. But overall, though, this was still a fantastic unit. With obviously Jordan Morgan was one of the best tackles in the country. He's going to be a first-round pick. I expect him to sit out the bowl game. Jonas Sabanea over on that right side was obviously a stalwart as well. He's going to be a top 15 pick. Both those dudes, great. And then on the interior, again, I wish Raymond Polito had been able to be healthier throughout the season, because I think he's going to be, assuming he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be an absolute stud. Then Wendell Moy, love Big Wendell. And then Josh Baker, very good. This is a really good unit. And what's exciting too is that they return almost everybody, granted outside of Jordan Morgan. But then I think what's going to happen is you're going to move Jonas Sabanea probably over to left tackle. You move Polito to right tackle. Then you got Wendell Moy. You've got Josh Baker. And then you got a bunch of different options. You got Rhino. You could maybe go with Tylen Gonzalez or Elijah Payne on the inside. A lot of different options there. But again, the O-line, tip of the cap, salute emoji. All right, now defensive side. This was obviously the surprise unit of the entire year for Arizona. And a big reason why was that defensive line. How many times over the years have we watched undersized, overmatched defensive lines that have to just get by with just trying hard, getting by with some, guile and whatnot. That was not the case this year. Taylor Upshaw was an absolute, thank you, Dion, for that miss eval. Love Taylor Upshaw, 8.5 sacks. And then obviously with Isaiah Ward, Deuce Davis combining as well for about for 5 from those 2 DN spots, 13.5 sacks. You'll take that every single day of the week. And then inside, Big Bill Norton. Big Bill Norton is what made everything move. Big Bill Norton, our guy. Massive dude. About, again, 6'4", 330. It also shows you, like we always talk about, just kind of the depth of talent at Georgia, that he couldn't really get off the field. But we will take Big Bill Norton, because Big Bill Norton was absolutely fantastic. And then, obviously, on the inside, you got Manoa, you got Savea, you got Uiagalelei, Kangaika. they can just keep coming at you in waves. And I think that's what's impressive about it, is that it's not like you have to have your defensive lineman playing 48 or 40, 50 snaps a game. You're going to probably play about half the game because they want to keep you fresh. They want to keep you coming in waves. The depth along the defensive line that Jedd Fisch was able to get was absolutely fantastic. Again, that just amazing. Solid B+, and across the board. And as far as improvement, A+++. At linebacker, Jacob Manu. Jacob Manu's got to be a first-team all-conference linebacker. Just has to be. He is 7th in the conference in sacks, 2nd in the conference in tackles. And he just was a difference maker this entire season. He was an absolute difference maker. Not only was he that, he was the dude that was able to get downfield or get downhill and just kind of make plays happen. Again, I think a lot of people were curious about, where would he really be able to take his game after that? Well, you know what? He said, I am going to take this game and I am going to make you all look silly. Again, I think he's going to be an All-American next year. Absolutely an absolute stud. And again, somebody that just gets football. He's an A+. Now, there's units only going to get a B because Justin Flo, I think we know at this stage, and I'm going to keep stealing this term. And again, Flo does some good things, but the theory of Justin Flo is, I think, better than the actuality. Again, he can have some cataclysmic plays. The problem, though, with Flo is that he is constantly out of position. He doesn't really understand the how to, the pass defensive side. And if you can't do that in this day and age, it's going to be difficult to play. Again, did some really good things, but just kind of a, okay football player. Daniel Haimuli, limited, but understand stuff. Again, just kind of okay. I think if you're Arizona, you're looking to certainly upgrade that position next year. But a B for the unit, A+ for Jacob Manu. Now let's get to the defensive backs with something that I think might have a load of NFL potential. But first, LinkedIn, my friends, LinkedIn. Okay. Everybody knows somebody that got a job through LinkedIn. You can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, you probably got a job through LinkedIn. And if you didn't, you probably know somebody that got a job through LinkedIn. That's why LinkedIn is absolutely fantastic. Again, check it out. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Get in on the gravy train that is LinkedIn. If you're not already, again, you will thank me later. LinkedIn jobs. Post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/lockedoncollege. Thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk about the DBs. Ephesians Prysock and Takario Davis are both going to play in the NFL. Barring injury, you're 6'3", 6'4". You have good enough change of direction, especially with Ephesians Prysock. Takario Davis is always around the ball. He just needs to learn how to intercept passes. But both those guys are going to be absolute problems next year in the Big 12. Then at that safety spot, Gunnar Maldonado. My bad, Gunnar. I spent half the year ragging on Gunnar, and guess what? Gunnar is making me look stupid, which is an easy thing to do. Gunnar Maldonado and Genesis Smith, Dalton Johnson. There's a lot to like about those safeties coming back next year. Traden Stukes as well, a real playmaker at that nickel. He can come back. There is, like I said, this is a loaded defensive backfield unit. Love having Dwayne Akina back in there, helping Johnny Nansen out. Not that Johnny Nansen needs help, but when you get a wise old owl like Dwayne Akina, you will take it every single day of the week. This is a unit that is loaded. Next year, I think you're going to see multiple all-conference players, and I think you're going to see multiple players in the 2025 NFL draft picked out of this, and I can see them being high draft picks as well. This unit gets an A. Not an A+, but this unit gets an A because they're playmakers, they're difference makers, and they were pretty much solid all season. Not much more that you can say about them. And then from the special teams, Jacob Cowling started to become a better punt returner. Our guy, Tyler Loop was very good all season. Ostendorp, a solid B plus. And again, with Loop, you get an A, my friend. But again, overall, this was just an awesome year for Arizona football. And like we just went through, there were really no weaknesses on this squad. And I think, again, that is a huge testament to Jedd Fisch and what Jedd Fisch has been able to do. The fact that you can go this far and there were in year 3 and there's no weaknesses was a really impressive aspect to what he did. And looking ahead, you return a ton of starters. Now, listen, you're definitely losing some dudes to the NFL that are not going to, that it's going to sting. Jordan Morgan was obviously great all season. Jacob Cowing, I got to replace him. Tanner McLaughlin, Taylor Upshaw, those dudes, obviously Michael Wiley, those dudes you got to be able to replace. But I think if we keep talking about the depth that Jedd Fisch has, depth that Jedd Fisch has gotten here at the U of A has been second, has been, next to none. I mean, it's really impressive what he's been able to do. And I look for a loaded 2024 team. I think Arizona's going to go into the year probably preseason top 10. And if they're not, it's going to be around 12 to 13. That's how good this Wildcats team is. And again, it's for a variety of the reasons that we put out there. There are no weaknesses. Not only are there no weaknesses, you have playmakers at pretty much every position. And again, that's just, that's a tip of the cap to what Jedd Fisch did. Again, got the Alamo Bowl most likely coming up, and we will start previewing that once we know officially what it's going to be. But then again, 2024, that is I think that can be a real home run season for Arizona football. There's a lot to like about all of that. But as always, tomorrow we're going to talk about coaches' contracts, all of that. And then Friday, we're going to talk a little bit Arizona basketball. We've got a lot to get to. But as always, appreciate you guys making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. We will be back with you tomorrow. Bear down, back the A, and go Cats.